Late spring, 12/2/25. I, Sir Losef of House Adethel, has the honour and privilege of being sent by Theravan, King of the United, patron of the arts, educator of all, the hand of peace, the wielder of hope, the tamer of the phoenix, the arch-commander of the wayfinders, the king of the people, the sigil of the All-Father, the breaker of chains, to investigate possible routes of expansion in the unexplored regions called the Jungles of Yofeleth. The king, who, at my pleading, granted me the charter, along with two other men, a dwarf from frankly unremarkable mining region in the north. Upon our first meeting, he grabbed me by the hand and shook it, which is remarkably friendly for a dwarf. Despite this, however, he couldn't help but smell of alcohol and smoke, which sadly is just a common habit among his kind. The other fellow was a half-elf by the name of Roland, a particular name likely human, but a dreadfully dull fellow. He, while not outright rude, thought he could speak to me in such a fashion which most decent folk would find distasteful. While I would not question the king's judgment on the matter, the choices I find those the dwarf and the half-elf to be frankly strange. I thought that an expedition of such magnitude would require a more noble or sophisticated group, and honestly, one with much better breeding. I brought my concerns up with the king, but he just consoled me, saying, despite their external flaws, that they had skills that I would find useful, which I have taken to heart for now. The dwarf was, despite his drunken nature, a supposed fine architect, and the half-elf an avid adventurer who has travelled on the outskirts of the jungle many times. We are set off with 3 months of food, which should be enough time to make it through the jungles and back again. I dare say that this will be excellent new edition of my book when I get to write it. Late spring, 12/2/25. Well, I nearly lost the orb today. Losing an entire audio log of this grand quest would have been, well, it would have made my exploits and sourcing them so much more complicated. The cart we took yesterday was dreadfully lacking a covering of all such things. I do wonder how the poor people dare survive in the heat and day in and day out work. It would be dreadful. However, we are on schedule despite the horse nearly dying at the break of noon due to the heat. We decided to take a break. I had found a simple solution to this problem in ordering the dwarf and the halfling to get off the cart so that the beast's burdens may have been lightened. While there were protests from the two, they would eventually concede to my charms. We will arrive in the port of Loeth by tomorrow, where our ship will set off south to the jungles. Late spring, 30/2/25. The town of Loeth was a strange place. I must say I found the entire town resting on stilts. Apparently it was to keep the homes above water during a flood. A remarkable feat of engineering, only possible by elven minds. While the people there were impressive in mind, I found them distasteful. Their eyes seemed to have had a yellowish tint to them whenever the sun caught their face, and their skin seemed sloppy and soggy at all times. They almost looked blue on occasion, but that may be what sea elves look like in a fishing village. The dwarf was not so open-minded and slept on the ship when he arrived. He refused even a drink. I overheard him calling them fishmen. Apparently, the dwarves have come to believe that some people who live on the coast are kidnapped by these fishmen. The half-elf tried calming him down, but with no such luck. These fishmen, if real, are remarkably friendly, for our captain, Sir Lorgoth, was nothing but a pleasure. We just last night drank until the break of dawn, and I must say I am happy to be with the people akin to myself. I must absorb it all in, for 3 months will likely be dreadful. I'll probably hear more rambling from the stunty, but no matter. We are a week out from the jungle, and I fully intend to enjoy the venture. Early summer, 7/2/25. The stunty came up from below deck to throw up over the side of the ship for the 5th time today. But at least he did apologize to our good captain, Sir Lorgoth. I am happy to see he learned. I am so happy to have learned that he will be our captain for the return trip, and I must say I'm excited at the prospect. The old sea elf was around during the height of King Othmar the Great's reign. He told me stories of our legendary king killing the krakens of old, reclaiming the sea for the elves. He knew of how one day, when he was 15 years old, he saw Othmar single-handedly kill not 1, but 3 krakens, and how Othmar, in his power, blessed our good captain, saying, no matter the weather, no ship Lothagar sail will ever sink. Lothagar has said that no matter how bad the storm, he has always been saved from near certain death. The half-elf began to tell me of the dangers we may face in the jungles, most of which I do not believe are trustworthy. He said there are spiders as wide as houses, scaled goblins whose very skin is like armor, giant lizards, and supposedly monkeys that live like kings in the trees. When I asked if he had seen any of these things, he fell silent. I do not know why my king would send such an inexperienced child with me on such a significant venture, but so be it. Early summer, 14/2/25. We have traveled through the jungles for a week now, and I must say this supposed killer forest, as it's been called by the Dark Elves, is noteworthy. The half-breed, despite his flaws, does know his way through the forest after all, for we saw but one orc during our grand quest. The dwarf has proven himself useful, charting out possible roadways as I continue the work on the official royal map of the venture. Despite the floral, the topsoil is too thin to grow any real food, even if the dwarf insists that the land is ideally suited to grow potatoes. However, the ants here are indeed impressive, for I saw ants marching across the jungle floor today in what looked like to be a grand battle. These smaller but much faster ants swarmed the more giant-like ants with such great speed that they were gone almost as quick as they began. I dare call them lightning ants, for it is the proper name for them. The half-elf says we are to enter into the center soon, where our king wishes a royal outpost to be established. This is sure to be my greatest achievement. Early summer, 25 to 25. They killed him. They killed the bloody half-elf. The boy was merely walking through brush before a spear slammed right into his chest. We heard yelling, and the dwarf and I ran, and I don't know where he went. The travel was going well, and we had little issue going through the center. It only when the trees. Midsummer, 28 to 25. They're still hunting me. It's a game for them. I can hear them calling out for me, mocking me. I can't accept. I won't. I heard voices when I sleep. They call to me deep into the woods. I must go there. There's no way out. Maybe there will help me leave. Midsummer, 30 to 25. I found they were calling me for. I shouldn't have, but I did anyway. I was hungry, and I ate, and ate, and ate. Late summer, 22 to 25. I ran out of the sun 3 weeks ago. I'm so hungry. There are fruit at the top of the trees. If I were to climb up there, I could maybe find directions I should head. I am going to try to climb up. If you're reading this, I have succeeded in that at least. I will send the orb and my map by bird if need be. I hope to learn enough from the woods elf teacher to get the message across. The monsters are everywhere. They tell me. The voices, they scream. No, stop it. I'm tired. My mind is failing. The trees, they speak to me. They tell me of the dangers. Don't come here. Don't. I feel them. They're calling for me. The chief wants to do battle. He calls for me through the woods. I can no longer deny him. The time to end the hunt has come. It is time to live or die. Scribe notes. This journal is found on the beach next to Sir Losef on the 20th of early summer 225. His body was found crushed and broken, but with repeated blows to the head and chest. His companion's bones were found not far from there. The half-elf's body found stabbed multiple times by a knife, which we can identify as Sir Losef's family knife. The cause of death of the dwarf appears to be numerous stabs to the stomach, but he died with a hammer in his hand. Theravan has ordered that this record, other than the map they drew during the venture, to be sent to the medical university as a case study on insanity. These were the notes of Sir Losef Edithel on the Jungles of Yofeleth.